Jackson, Tennessee, and this is our Practicing Our Faith series. So today we're going to talk about practicing generosity as a way of practicing our faith. In Acts 20:35, St. Paul tells the Ephesians to remember the words of our Lord Jesus Christ, that it is more blessed to give than to receive, which I think is fairly counterintuitive for many of us. We like to receive. We like receiving gifts. We like getting new things. And oftentimes we think that, getting those new things, getting those gifts will make us happy. But there was a TED Talk several years ago that's really stuck with me. It's by Michael Norton, and I'll try to link to it in the comment section in case you want to check it out. But in this TED Talk, he and his team conducted a study where they went to a college campus and they gave students there these envelopes with money. Some received $5 and some received $20. And then some of the students were told to spend the money on themselves, whether to pay a bill or buy something for themselves, a gift for themselves. And then the other students were instructed to spend the money on someone else, someone other than themselves. And before they spent the money, they were asked to rate their happiness. And then later in the evening, after they had spent the money, the researchers called them and confirmed they had spent the money in the way they were supposed to. And then they asked them to rate their happiness again. And what they found was that the students who had spent the money on themselves were just as happy as they had been before. So there was no impact. It didn't decrease their happiness, but it didn't increase their happiness. It was just sort of flat. But the students who had spent the money on someone else actually reported an increase in their level of happiness. So they felt happier after having spent money on someone other than themselves. And then the researchers repeated this study all over the world in all different countries, and they went not only to college campuses, but they went to corporations and sports teams in all different contexts. And what they found again and again was that when people spent money on someone other than themselves, they reported an increase in their level of happiness. The other interesting thing was that the researchers sort of assumed that the people who spent more money on other people would be happier than those who spent a smaller amount of money on other people. So, some of the students received $20 and some received $5. But what they found was that whether a student or someone had spent $20 on another person or whether they spent $5 on another person, their level of happiness increased the same amount. So, what this tells us is that it is indeed a blessing to give. We experience an increase in our joy when we give, an increase in our happiness. So it is a blessing when we are able to give to others. But it also lets us know that, we don't have to do something huge. We don't have to, spend an amount of money that we can't afford. Even just a small gift increases our joy and increases our happiness. So it can be something as simple as buying a cup of coffee for another person, which a lot of the students in the original survey did. They all bought coffee for one another because, that's what undergrads need. But when we do something even just simple like that, we receive a blessing. We receive an increase in our joy. So I hope this week that you will practice generosity, that you'll find ways of giving, and also be reminded that in this study they were just looking at generosity in terms of money, like giving gifts or money to other people, but generosity comes in a lot of forms. We give our time, we give our talents, and that can also increase our joy and our happiness. So I hope that you'll find creative ways this week to be generous, to give. Again, they don't have to be big. It can be just, taking a meal to a neighbor. It could be, sending a gift card to a coffee shop, to an undergrad student or a college student, whatever it is. Um, Practice generosity and see if indeed you experience a blessing. Because as Jesus says, it is more blessed to give than to receive. So thanks be to God.